So everything you're going to hear about this film, all my opinions, all my perspectives are from an insider point of view. Again, not just a fan. I am a diehard MCU fan. I'm a diehard comics and everything related fan. ONYXCON started as a Comic-Con. We now do, strictly for the most part, online content, which you should be subscribed to here on our YouTube, but also following us on our Instagram. So it's coming from a real place, everybody. You can trust this source for some real information, some real talk from people on the front lines, not just on the sidelines or in the audience only, okay? And that's just the truth of it. It's gonna be real over here. Okay, let's get into it. Now, first and foremost, let me say this is an absolutely beautiful film. It's beautiful. Every frame of this film is painted, okay? As a visual artist first, I was a drawer, painter, sculptor, all of that before I ever got into film, and I always wrote, but I always drew and painted first. So let me tell you, they drew, you know, the cinematography is just absolutely amazing. The locations, they really outdid themselves. They've created a brand with this entire series of Black Panther films that is going to set a new standard for the epic levels of creativity and the epic visual quality that people will expect in films of this type. Okay, this genre has another new champion, you know, and I'm saying another meaning Black Panther first, and now this, to speak of a paradigm shift in the industry and what should be the standard for shooting this level of a film, for giving proper representation and true diversity. You have a completely diverse cast. You have so many beautiful faces, so many beautiful complexions, so many beautiful costumes. Shout out to Ruth Carter, the Oscar-winning Ruth Carter, who is the source of all of the beautiful, her and her teams, the source of all the beautiful fashion that you see all these characters wearing and everything that they represent as each character in the film. Ruth Carter is a treasure. Truly she is. She needs to continue to win awards for all of her work, and she needs to be celebrated as a national treasure, as everyone else involved with this film. It's just absolutely amazing in that regard. Let me make that very clear from the start. The homage to Chadwick could not be more heart-wrenching and tear-jerking. And if you don't have a Kleenex on you, well, you're going to be massaging the tears into your face, because I promise you, you're going to get a little wet in the eye area watching this film. There's no way in the world, if you don't cry, your soul is going to cry, because it is just, every time you see him, whether it's the mural of him that you notice in the trailer, that is a prominent scene in the beginning of the film. By the way, we're not giving away any major spoilers here. We will talk around some things that could be spoilers. So if you're that kind of person, like hell, I am myself, I don't like to watch anything that might even hint at anything until I've seen it. Do make sure you come back. You can cut us off. Just make sure you come back, because we want the watch hours and we deserve the watch hours, because like I say, we're giving you the insider perspective like nobody gives, and some real credible opinions on different things. So, you know, go see the movie, please support, and then come back and finish this video, all right? But when I tell you that every frame that they showed him, because they did a lot of flashback scenes of his work in the first film, and a lot of sentimental flashbacks in, you know, the big Marvel credit at the beginning where the words come up and they show all these flash scenes of him, which we've seen that before with other tributes, but they really laid it on thick in this. I mean, I said, okay, good gosh, where is the Kleenex? Because, I mean, it's different for a person who worked on set with this man. I watched him work, and I am an actor, and I know what it takes to be in this biz, to maintain in this biz. So losing him on that level was a bit, it was just a lot more, y'all. I cried the night I heard about it, and seeing this film reminded me of how I felt the night that I heard about his transition. So it's one of those, so get ready for that part of it. But like I say, beautifully done. It's like, you know, you'll be happily crying at the same time, because he deserves these tears, he deserves these celebrations, and it should never stop. It should just continue. It should always be a part of this as it moves forward, with obviously a third film has to be made, and hopefully we'll even see 6 of these films made, or something related to them with spinoffs tied to Wakanda. It's got to happen. It needs to happen. And the comic books and everything related point to possibilities of that. Okay. Now, the story. You all know, because it's no secret at this point, that Letitia Wright, aka Shuri, becomes the new Black Panther. Now, the way that happens is what makes this movie so pivotal and worth watching, because in that story, in that conflict that she goes through with Namor, or should I pronounce it Namor, which I really love how they did that in the film. They pronounced it Namor and made it a Latin Spanish twist to it because of the whole motif of this underwater kingdom that Namor rules, being of Mayan ancestry. It's tied to Mayan lore and Mayan connection. So Mexico, shout out to the actor Tenoch Huerta. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Tenoch Huerta, who is of Mexican, Aztec, and Purepecha roots. Again, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. You see, I'm making a grand effort here. I do know a little bit of Spanish. I mean, when I say a little bit, I do mean poquito. Cito. Okay? But yeah, he did an amazing job. When I tell you that the anti-hero, the antagonist trend, legacy through these films is staying a standard, okay? From what Michael B. Jordan did with Killmonger to now Namor, they have created we will always have a badass of badasses villain. I mean, the villain will be remembered and you're going to feel this person's wrath. I found myself, about midway of the film, once you know why he's so angry, once you know why he is the level of protector he is for his people, and the reason why he's so ruthless. By the time he shows you how ruthless he could be, it's kind of hard to still kind of root for him in the back of your mind, because it's funny, like with the first film, a lot of people to this day still root for Killmonger and still saw his perspective, and fans spoke on that. And Ryan Coogler, the legendary producer and writer of this film, along with Joe Robert Cole, needs to be mentioned, was the other writer on this film. But Ryan Coogler, you can definitely see that he wanted to be sure that we're not going to just make this guy a bad guy in the first film, talking about Killmonger. He didn't want to just make him bad. He gave you a reason for why he's upset. The villainy is empty unless you chose to show me why the person is so ruthless. So this is a standard that I love about his work, that he keeps that in everything. He makes sure you know why this person is raising hell. And this one is no different. You get that with this film. The thing of it is, with Killmonger, you could easily, you always sympathize for what made him how he was, and depending on your understanding of the history of the black struggle in America and the oppression after quote-unquote slavery into modern slavery, with the ghettos created to keep people oppressed financially, economically, educationally, etc., to know what that character came from and to see what he was to the first film, and to know why he was turned the way he was and to be left behind and to be cut off from his roots, that gave you reason to not ever, if you have ethics, not ever say, oh, it's okay, everything he did, but you definitely knew why and you sympathized for it. So by the time the film ended and he had been defeated, you just felt sorry for him, and you hoped that, in death, maybe he could see the light he was starting to see as he was dying, is the feeling you got, right? At least the feeling I got. This film is different, as it should be. I don't want a complete repeat of the first film, which I will say there are some repeat formula elements, but we'll get into that later. With this, Namor is just literally his own monster with his own wrath and ruthlessness that gets shown so bad that at a certain point, I can't sympathize for him at a certain point. I'm just like, I almost forget about why he's so mad. I forget about them taking it back to when he was a child and showing all of that. I'm not going to say what I saw and what all that. We're not going to give you the full spoilers, but we're going to talk around them. But I tell you this, by the time you get another scene where they remind you of why, I say, oh man, this is amazing filmmaking. And that's another reason why I consider this film classic in its own right. Because rarely does a film, like I say, show you the villain, tell you why he's upset or she's upset, but then turn around, and if you forgot, after we have them being villainous, killing off innocent people, destroying things and everything, then they take you back to the beginning again. Just by the way, this is why again, and then it draws a whole mirror to Wakanda versus this underwater kingdom and how they are so much the same. They both have the same pride. They both have the same depth of legacy and so much history, and the roots are so old and need to be respected and protected. And therefore their leaders will do anything to anything else outside of that to protect that. That is a big theme in this film, and it is well done to show that. The other issue with that, for me, is, like I say, that's well done. The issue I have with conflicts between nations, the conflict between Namor's underwater kingdom and Wakanda is easy to absorb at a certain point because it's so well established as to the why and who the players are in the political sphere of this. Because it's a very political film in the sense of how they deal with this. They deal with diplomacy, they deal with war, they deal with how you end up getting to war. It's not just boom, bam, pow, fight for, and you forgot even why people are fighting, but stuff is blowing up. No, this is not that movie. It's gonna be explosions, it's gonna be big grand fights, but you're gonna get the lead up to it and the what, when, where, and how. Now, when we get into, to me, the best part of the political drama of the film, Queen Ramonda has to confront the UN Council about demanding that Wakanda follow up on their promise via T'Challa's promise to share vibranium and knowledge of vibranium with the rest of the world to better the world. That was, in a sense, his character's dying speech. His last big word to the rest of the world. This film picks up showing that the greedy warmongering nature of certain American powers and certain European powers, and I stress the word certain, I'm going to get specific here. Well, no, I'm not going to get too specific because, again, I don't want to do any major spoilers. I'll just say it just like that. Certain American powers, certain European powers are revealed to be a constant threat and bullies who pretend to be diplomats, but they try to bully people out of their resources. And they show that. That scene right there was everything to me because it's the elephant in the room that has never been dealt with in many films of this sort, or films that choose to deal with political topics and war and conflicts between nations and why and what a colonizer really is and what a colonizing mentality is and why it has to end and why it is never going to be productive to the benefit of all humanity. It is all about mine, and everybody else get less. No matter what way you cut it, it always comes down to that. And so this is spoken of creatively in this film. And that scene is so powerful. To me, is the best. It is the best of all the war diplomacy elements of the film. Now, my conflict or my contrast to that is what ends up being the real. You think that's going to become the real battle at some point in the film. You think that maybe, even before I saw the film, I saw other fans saying, maybe Namor will come out and fight Wakanda, but in the end they'll team up and they'll go against some other power that's really their mutual enemy. I found myself hoping that was true. And as I was watching it, I kept hoping that was true. I'm not going to say how it goes, but I will say the obvious is in every trailer. The main conflict ends up being, and this, maybe this is a spoiler to some people. I tell you, come back after you've seen the film. The main conflict ends up being Wakanda versus Namor's kingdom. Period. It becomes that. Now, that's an issue for me because I knew that would happen, but I wanted to see that team up. I wanted to see that we see that we got so much in common. Why are we fighting? Instead, it pretty much, again, spoilers, y'all, spoilers. Instead, it pretty much comes to a halt at, I won't say why, I'll just say, it's left on shaky grounds of, yes, we will come together because we have to, and we will be ready for any mutual threat. Now, that leaves part 3 with a big responsibility to me, because hopefully the world will have changed in the next 3 years enough, because there seems to remain a 3-year gap between all these films. Black Panther 1 was 2018, this was 2022. You got a 3-year gap. So we're looking at 2026, and hopefully we'll get a film that explores the real bully, the real enemy to anybody's progress who's trying to be progressive, who's trying to make a difference in the world, who's trying to be something different. And to speak of CIA character played by Martin Freeman, Agent Everett Ross, who is seen in this film with Julia Louis-Dreyfus from Seinfeld as Agent Valentina. That you see there. I mean, of course, they've always used him to be. He's the token white guy in these films, but he's the token in a very smart way, because he's not just used to, hey, here's a quote unquote white guy in a very black film who shows up and saves the day as the white hero kind of thing. Not exactly. Some people would argue that was the case in the first film because of his moment in the middle of the big battle, coming through on the ship and taking out a key enemy to help out and everything. Okay, great. But it wasn't all about him. He's a great element. He's a great addition to the cast and a popular character in his own right, but he's not the main focus. That remains so in this film, as it should, because this is about Wakanda, y'all. But I love the fact that as a true advocate of Wakanda, as a true friend to Wakanda, he, I don't like to just use street terms for every little thing, but to speak lingo that people use, because he's not a snitch, but let me be specific when I say that he sticks to the game. He's like, I ain't giving up Wakanda for nothing. All right, I don't give a dang about how racist y'all are, how oppressive y'all are, and I don't care about my job and none of that. I'll go down for Wakanda because Wakanda saved my life. I love that little, and he doesn't suddenly become hipper or cooler or try to be something he's not. He's still the same very, white shirt and tie, business suit, agent guy through the whole film. He does not change his character does not change the way he's speaking or anything. But he protects, and in that protection, it's alluded to, and then again, it's another very pivotal scene because his demise, I'll say, without giving this away, his demise comes down to another big reveal about how oppressors think and how colonial powers really do want to control everything and keep certain people down. They just don't want to see certain people rise to the levels of wealth and equal opportunity that they have. Just the hell with an equal playing field. We don't, it's amazing. It's amazing. It's all there. It's in there, y'all. It's in there. Just go see the film. That's all I'm gonna say. But I will also say, from an actor's perspective, I was there for the scene on the FBI bridge investigation after the big fight on the bridge in Boston. I have to report that, unfortunately, I was a very prominently displayed blur. All my fellow background actors are laughing right now because you understand what I'm saying. I was prominently featured as a blur. You will not be able to figure out which one I am. To this day, I don't even know if I think I saw myself, okay? I saw a guy walking by. I think he had a bald head, and I couldn't see his beard because it was just the back of my head. And I said, I think that's me because I know where I was in that scene at different points. And, hey, it is what it is. But I was there. The point is, I was on the bridge. I watched Martin Freeman and Julia Louis-Dreyfus work. It was an awesome day. It was a long day for nothing but a less than 2-minute scene. I always tell people this. If you don't know the biz, you would be amazed how much time it requires to film some of these scenes. And here's another little tidbit for anybody who's interested in film and is amazed by all the behind the scenes magic, the lights, camera, action. The entire backdrop of everything that is not the bridge itself is CGI. That's right. The whole city, the air and the sky. I mean, I'm telling you, they go to work. They literally put in all the water underneath the bridge. Everything else was CGI because we were working against a huge blue screen all day. It was blue screen. It's either blue or green, depending on what the color is going to be in the scene. They have to use either blue or green so that it doesn't conflict with what the characters are wearing and what other elements in the scene are. That was a very powerful scene in its own right for what it represented and for what everything represented after his character, CIA agent Everett Ross, what he goes through and how he gets caught up. So moving forward, like I say, I would hope to see more in the future dealing with that level of political conflict and really outing the real quote-unquote enemies of the world that are often sometimes the very leadership who say they are there to protect people and keep everybody safe when really all they care about is who's at the top and everybody else at the bottom struggle forever and stay in the doldrums and all that. So let's get into the rest of the cast. Like I said, Shuri is Black Panther. She did an amazing job. Her fury builds through the film, rightfully so. I'm not going to give away the biggest other tearjerker besides the tributes to Chadwick Boseman as T'Challa, but I'm going to say she had every reason to become as ruthless as Namor at a certain point in the film. And it's sad because they could have even been friends. Shuri and Namor, you'll understand when you see the film, could have been friends. And it's like, it's all on shaky ground. Lupita, oh my gosh, Lupita's so beautiful. And Nyong'o, doing her doggone thing, she played that so. She is an amazing. The whole cast is such. They're just amazing professionals, y'all. I love to see these people work. I've seen these people work. The only folks I've never seen, maybe a too long a list to mention, but I haven't actually been on set with Letitia Wright, not yet. I have been on set with Lupita, and I did the famous UN scene at the very end of the first Black Panther. So that was where I got to see Chadwick really, really work. I mean, he worked in Civil War in the scene I saw too, but I really got to see him do his thing in that. I got to see her. I got to see Danai Gurira do her thing. I haven't been on set with M'Baku Winston Duke yet. I haven't been on set with Angela Bassett yet. But yeah, I mean, some of these other folks, they kill it every time. Danai Gurira, oh my gosh, so powerful. Another amazing performance. When I tell you she brought the tears for her moment in that, I was like, whoa. Because you feel the anger and the emotion between her character and the queen in a very important scene. That's all I'm going to say. It's just, I mean, if this movie does not continue to win Oscars, I'm saying, in these films, most of the comedic moments fit. Shout out to Riri, the new little sweetheart, the genius, the absolute genius. Dominique Thorne plays Riri, who is basically, she's going to end up being a protege of Iron Man. She's a genius that literally is in college and creates her own Iron Man suit. Pretty much. Okay. She's phenomenal. And she's got some funny moments that are, I mean, for humor that most black folks, I never put everybody in a bag and just say, oh, we all laugh at this, we all think like this. I don't believe in the phrase for the culture. I believe in a phrase I coined that says for the cultures, plural. Don't pigeonhole anybody. Don't give me one culture. That's impossible. It's an insult to everything we are. It's still a we, but we are so universal. So give me all of what we are. So it's not always funny, but when it is, it is. And my thing with humor in a film like this is place it at the right time, which they do. Thank you, Ryan Coogler. Don't have it at the wrong times. And it won't always be funny, you know. The other thing about it is it's hit and miss, but also the other thing about that is when you realize, like I say, the wrath of Namor, the political elements, the UN Council, the bullying of colonizing imperial cultures, you start to realize, okay, yeah, we're going hard. We're really trying to make some major, we're making some major points within a Hollywood big budget film, which is not where this typically happens. But they're giving the reins off a little bit with this understanding. If we don't let that flow a little bit, certain parts of our audience they're just gonna leave. They're gonna be like, this ain't real enough. You know, you got a segment of black folks in particular who don't even like these types of movies because they feel like it's not real enough. I can't relate to that. It ain't real to me. It ain't real. So if you put in elements like this that relate to reality and what's really going on, people will look past the pointy-eared people, the fish people, the weapons that are unbelievable and all. They'll look past all that and start to see the parallels and the metaphor for what fantasy is and accept it for a story about some real stuff that is actually going on and has been going on. So respect it. And therefore, comedy, it's just a softening of the blow, because for some people that's too much they can't take it, you know, of all ethnicities and all kind of perspectives. You got a lot of people out here just can't take the truth. I love it. Let me get some more of that truth, because then I ain't got to, you know, pretend that, you know. Anyway, not gonna get too deep on y'all. Probably been too deep already. Y'all ain't ready, some of y'all, but that's okay. Keep listening. Now, let's get into a shout out to Florence Kasumba, plays Ayo. Move or you will be moved. Yeah, that famous line. Her and Anika, played by Michaela Coel. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. These are members of the infamous, always badass, all right, Lady Killers, the frontline guard, the Dora Milaje. They show out all over again in this. If you're a Dora Milaje fan, you're in for a constant treat. They show out through this film. All right. Alex Levinali. He plays Atuma, which is the right-hand man. He's pretty much the equal of M'Baku. He's actually, well, I'm not going to give that away. I'm just going to say they're a good match. Crazy. And he is brutal. Oh my gosh, played the hell out of that role. Major props to the stunt team. Shout out to my man Aaron Tony, okay? The stunt coordinator for this film, amongst others. I saw the name in the credits. I was so proud of you, brethren. Congratulations, that's ONYXCON fam. That is the stunt guy who plays the Falcon, by the way. And yes, I know Aaron personally. Yes, I've met him. Yes, I've interviewed him. If you haven't seen my interview, it's on ONYXCON.com. Check out the interview we did with Aaron Tony, aka the Falcon, aka Captain America. Yeah, the man. But the stunt team, they were amazing. I mean, it's just gotta shout out the stunt people, because they make these movies possible. You can't have an action movie without a stunt team, and y'all showed the heck out, okay? Oscars for stunt performers. Shot that in too. I ain't gonna go back to that because I could talk about that for days too, but shout out to all my stunt folks. Y'all put your life on the line to create this amazing entertainment. Thank you. Beautiful to hear Rihanna get her major song in the soundtrack, and it's beautiful. But I love to hear the voices of folks from the continent that really seat the film and give it that pure from the continent. Because we're here for the diaspora, okay? We salute all Africans of African roots all over the world, for real though. But hey, it is supposed to be a fictional account of a nation in Africa, so why not use people from the continent to give you that real down home voice? And he's got it. Baba Maul is a legend, so I love to hear that in the funeral scene. Shout out to that. She was 95 when she passed in October of 2021. And she was in it. I didn't even realize she had made it to be in this film. And that was incredible. When I saw her on film, I was like, oh my gosh, there go my girl. There's my lady. And I say that probably meaning that I never taught with Miss Dorothy, but I have seen her on other sets prior to, I've been in this business, like I say, 9 years in the Atlanta area. She was known for being in background, did a lot of background work before she got seen and acknowledged and brought to the throne as she should be to play the Merchant Tribe Elder in these films, in Black Panther and also Wakanda Forever. So shout out to her. You live on forever. Much respect to her soul. Yeah. Maybelle Cadena, okay? She plays the right-hand warrior, the lady equivalent of Atuma. She's Namora, and she was so badass. Oh my God! It's like, yo, The fish people, as they kept saying in the film, the fish people are off the doggone chain. And that siren song, I love that whole siren element of just hypnotizing folk and making them walk to their death. I mean, keeping some real lore, some real ancient mythology and lore prevalent and bringing it to the modern film. I love it. This is the kind of stuff gets kids to go research. This is the kind of stuff that creates great homework assignments and edutainment, where educators can say, okay, where did that come from in the film? Oh, they made the people jump off because they were hypnotized. Yeah, but do you know that this is based on something that's actually old lore? They didn't just make it up for the movie. They pulled this from something of a group of ladies called the Sirens that were mermaids that did this in lore about, captains of ships would say, if you hear voices when you're out to sea, don't follow that because it could lead you to your death. And it's some real history. They give you some real stuff in this. So it was really well done with using all of these elements and pulling them together for an another amazing Marvel film. So shout out to everyone involved. I think I've covered all my shout outs. I want to end with saying the greatest thing about this moving forward to me is the possibilities. Because, and I'm going to just say, M'Baku, Queen Shuri, and, Queen in her own right, because the technicalities of that are up in the air, sort of. I'll just say that. Black Panther Shuri, okay? Shout out M'Baku, and everyone else, because who knows what this third film is going to look like. If you read the comics, if you know the comics, there's a comic series about an intergalactic empire of Wakanda. So it goes into space. Can you imagine the tie-ins with Guardians of the Galaxy and a cosmic world of Wakanda? And just, oh my gosh. There's a lot that can happen. That's all we're going to say. And for all y'all who don't read the comics and everything, who have just lost their mind because they didn't know that, yeah, go look it up. It's a lot of really cool stuff. Go to the comic book shop every now and then. If you're a real fan, you got to be into the comics a little bit. You don't have to be diehard. I mean, heck, I don't even have the money to collect like I used to. But, hey, I still get it in. I stay abrupt. I know what's going on. Have to. That's ONYXCON lifestyle. So I hope you've enjoyed this. Please subscribe if you're not already subscribed. If you are subscribed, we thank you. We can't do it without you. We're going to end this one off with the official rating. We're going to give this one an ONYX and a C. Oh, why not a full ONYXCON? Let me explain that system again. Our rating system is all the letters in ONYXCON, which is a 7. Now, a 1 is basically like, oh my gosh, I just made it through it. I don't know what that was I just watched. N, the number 2, a 2 star is, y'all got to do better. What is this, right? 3 star is, that was good. This has potential, okay? A 4 star is awesome. Well done, right? Okay. A 5 star is, this is a classic in its genre. No denying it. In this genre, this is a classic, okay? All right. Then we got a 6. That's a GOAT. A GOAT, one of the greatest of all time. And then a 7 is the GOAT of GOATs for its time. Meaning, it doesn't have to be the best movie ever made. We don't do that because we specifically deal with genres. But in its genre, if anything ever makes a 7, so let me give you a scale to base this on. Black Panther is a full 7 ONYXCON. That's right, I said it. Why? Because it is a paradigm shift in the industry for what a black cast, black directed, black executive producer can do with this kind of budget. It is a trendsetter. It is something that has changed how people see film, will see film. Whether you like this type of film or not, you're gonna deal with the impact of that film. Black Panther is a full 7-star ONYXCON classic, GOAT of GOATs, GOAT of its time. All right. But I give Black Panther Wakanda Forever a solid 5-star classic in its genre. Why not the other 2 stars? Because it followed, in some ways, a pattern of the first film, which I expected, but I hope that in the way that the battles and everything, it played it safe is what I'm saying. It used the formula of the first film with a whole new story, and it did it masterfully. This is rarely done. Some people do this. They do this formula thing, but you end up, did I just watch the same movie again with a couple of different outfits? No. This is not that. This is the same plot sequence, so to speak, of how things get introduced with some totally original scenes too. Don't get me wrong. But the way that it's done, by the time you get to the final battle and everything, which is something a lot of great classic films we love do. This is what Star Wars did forever. You know, if you look at Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, each and every last one of those films has a major battle at the end. This follows suit. I wouldn't expect it not to have a major battle at the end. What I want to see with that major battle is a difference in the conflict. The conflict in the first film, Africans bases have a conflict. It starts to break up the nation itself. An outsider comes in. He takes over. He has a global takeover mentality. He's going to use the resources of vibranium to do that with. He has all this old hatred and anger because of how he was abandoned, because of his right to be a part of this kingdom, and then he was denied that, and on and on and on, right? That right there gets seen again in a way through Namor. Same kind of fury, different type of villain in his own way, but still it's similar enough. And you have black on black situation in the first film, you have black on Latino in the second film. I, for one, I'm not going to say I don't see that this is a reflection of certain things in reality, therefore I can accept it as art reflecting reality and reality reflecting art, and I like it for being a well-told story. But for what we need, now that they have the power to make these films on this level, and the box office numbers are all that the main folks mostly care about, so reins off of some of the creative decisions too, and let people tell a story that has never been told. Let's go back to the conflict with Queen Ramonda and the UN Council confronting the certain, because like I said, well, let me finish my statement. Confronting the certain American and European powers that bully and constantly destroy just to create their own total domination over other people's resources and other people's cultures. All right, and you've got the elements of showing, hey, we're not all bad. So it's not about that. This is not some race was a created construct that went along with slavery. So you've got a character, quote unquote white character, a CIA agent who is the good guy, who's on the right side of history, and so you've got people who would support him. Okay. So it's not a matter of, if you want to take that part of the story and show the corruption, you're not going to miss anything. You're going to actually do something that has not been done for a film like this. And I hope that somebody doesn't get in the way if our good brother Coogler and Joe Robert Cole and other writers, if they get involved in the future, choose to go further down that path of exploring the truth behind all of that. Because that's where the healing starts. That's where the art can help reality. That's where people can say, okay, enough is enough. I like what I'm seeing in this film. I don't want to be that. I want to be more like the CIA agent, Martin Freeman, if you're someone of that side of history and you want to help the situation versus continue to hurt the situation. And can we go to war with the real enemies versus it always be, quote unquote, the minorities, even in a fictional account? Fish people, mermaids, what? Yes, we still know we're looking at La Raza, okay? These are the Mexicanas. It's the Mexicans versus blacks, people. And don't get it twisted. It's not literal, but it is symbolic in a way too. Ryan Coogler is from California. He's seen those conflicts growing up. He's seen those divides growing up. This is still prevalent in California. This divide of Latinos and blacks has always been there because certain powers know we're all related. I mean, when I say all, I mean all humanity. But to speak specifically of people of direct African descent and Latinos who know their roots, know they have African roots and are proud of that, that's a major conflict because you got those who deny that and those who embrace that. And for those who embrace that, of course, this changes the dynamic of society where people don't fight each other and they don't get taken advantage of the same way because it's not a us versus y'all, it's us, period. So we're getting to an era of us, period, in human existence. And I like the fact that these films are ushering it in a creative way where it can be talked about symbolically without it always being a big uproar and a us versus you kind of garbage conversation that never deals with facts of history and gets all emotional without leading to any results that are prosperous and progressive. let's get to that, ladies and gentlemen. So that is one of my biggest conflicts with the film, but it's not one that I would take anything away from filmmaking. It was well done, story well told. I just know what is going on with playing it safe and still dealing with some unsafe or hard to swallow for some people topics. We're not humanity. I really feel like we're just at a time in history where we cannot afford, for the sake of humanity, for the sake of this planet, to keep playing it safe with each other. We've got to tell the truth or we're going to die with our lies. So when we get reveals in a film like this, where you're showing who the real enemies are, and we want to wipe the slate clean of all that nonsense, let's have that fight. Let's have that battle. Let's get it out there in the open in a creative way where no blood has to be shed in reality if you want to take it there. But we can say it in a creative way, and hopefully it doesn't have to become reality. That's what time it is. So props to this film. Props to what the creatives were doing when they made this. I know some of my words will be taken out of context, but let it flow in the comments if you will, but be respectful. And again, remember, I'm an insider. I'm not just talking hearsay. I hope you've enjoyed and gained something from this because we're here for edutainment purposes. This is Joseph R. Wheeler III signing out. Respect and go see Wakanda Forever.